Whoa, I saw some proper scary stuff this Halloween, including this.
Harry Maguire!
Ah, imagine that in your defence. Oh dear, that's the proper big scary. But I myself, lads, this Halloween, dressed as Inspector Gadget. As always, I'm on the lookout for the next best FPL players. It's the Gameweek 8 Players to Watch. This is the series I suggest players to watch that may have potentially just been playing hide and seek and just gone completely under the radar. Where last week I suggested best ever players such as the Choo Choo Che Train and even the Portuguese Ronaldo Diego Jota, who went on to score again. See lads, best ever football scout here. But did you know what? This kind of expert football knowledge doesn't just come out of nowhere, right? And sometimes I use some extra sources to help me, including my brand new sponsor, OneFootball. OneFootball is, in my opinion, the #1 football app out there right now, where if you are interested, you can click on the video description down below and download for free today. It has a ton of great features, such as giving you all the live scores as the goals happen, all of the news from over 200 leagues in 12 different languages, and even more. But I do actually use the app myself to help me and aid me to find some of these secret gems for the watch list here. And I do that by checking the player stats for the season, in not just the league, but in any competition I want to. You know, to see if the player is actually good, and also checking all of the team's lineups to see if there's anything interesting going on with the selections and potentially find some players playing out of position. All of those things that are very important here in making your FPL transfers to, have a look out for. So do you like what you see? Why not give it a shot and check out OneFootball in the description below. But the first player on the Gameweek 8 Players to Watch watch list is Noori. Noori. Ain't no way I can pronounce that one right. Someone please help me. But our, should we just say, nice fine gentleman here, who is actually only on loan to Wolves, but he played his first ever game in the Premier League Friday just gone. What does he go and do? Gets a goal, gets a clean sheet, and gets all the bonus. To deliver home 15 FPL points on his debut. Wow, that's more points from just the one game than some other defenders have had, such as Charlie Taylor, George Bulldog, Jamal Lewis, and even Eric Dyer have had, and they've all played at least 5 games more. Not too bad from this guy then, is it? But this guy was so under the radar, he has literally never been seen by anyone. Where when he scored, his live FPL ownership was less than 0.1%. Wow. We talk about an ultimate differential, right? But actually, even with a very, very good FPL debut, Bacon Boy here is actually here to tell you that he might not actually be a great option. What? Now, you see, Johnny at Wolves is normally their first choice left back, but unfortunately for them, he got quite a big boy injury, so he'll probably just be chilling in hospital for the rest of the season. But then Wolves have brought in Marcel, who is a more defensive left back / centre back, who has been playing on the left wing back for them until he got injured. And then a certain Romain Saiss exists too, who has also been filling in at that left wing back for Wolves, but he's been dropped because he's just an atrocious defender, really, isn't he? So Noori here might actually be a big no-E, as realistically he's still kind of second, maybe third choice on that position. And yeah, he might play every now and again throughout the season, but for now he's not quite top. But today I will be your financial advisor and tell you, don't go anywhere near this, keys, as he does kind of cost 5 million here in FPL. And spoiler alert, that might not be the most sensible way you could ever spend your FPL money, you don't really want to be spending 5 mil on a player that might never play again. I mean, he will play again, but, As in his team as well, there's a very nailed on Semedo for a little bit more, or even a Max Kilman putting in performances so good, I doubt he's going to be dropped, and he's been so good, he might even win the Ballon d'Or. So if you want someone cheaper for Wolves, there's him as well. But also, another thing to note is, maybe he does keep on playing. Maybe he keeps on playing so well that they don't want to drop him. And I think that's something that people forget. Players' form changes here and there. Sometimes the unexpected options just click in their team in the way they want to play. And sometimes no expert or no fan can tell you this player will definitely play, this player will definitely play, as obviously it's very dynamic, form's dynamic, decisions are dynamic, it's all tactics. And sometimes you just can't look too far into the future. He could play absolutely amazing again, and then not play the next game. Or he could go on to make himself completely undroppable. There's things we don't know with players in every team, which is why the only thing you can go off is just by watching him, making him our first player to watch this week. With next, it's the B-Tech James Rodriguez in Hakem Ziyech. It's no surprise that when Ziyech finally starts a Premier League game, he goes and does bits. He's got a better delivery than any postman in the world, and is just the perfect player to rely on. Where in his first start here in the league, he goes and gets a goal and an assist, picking up all the bonus points too to get 14 points. Very nice! But the best thing about Ziyech is, he's probably a guaranteed starter, as he's probably the most attacking, creative player they have in that Chelsea team. And someone good to bring balance into that attack. Which actually makes his 8 million price tag just that little bit extra juicy. Ooh, and quite tempting to get him in. Now, Chelsea do not have the easiest run of fixtures, with some hard games sprinkled in here and there around their easier games. So not quite the most appetising run on paper. But the good thing about Chelsea is Lampard basically has no tactics other than just try and score as many goals. Go out there, have fun, kick a ball, hit it in the net, and I don't know anything else, just go for it. Which is why I think Ziyech will be quite an important player to Chelsea this season, making him actually, potentially, one of the most valuable players in FPL. Am I really making that big of a claim after just one good game? Yeah, I am. But yeah, I don't expect him to get a goal and assist every game. But with how attacking Chelsea are, and with fixtures on and off and can score in any game anyway, and the fear they put into their opponents by shouting, Chelsea, 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 scaring everyone that gets in their way, I think Ziyech will be a brilliant player to have, lads, making him my next player to watch on the Gameweek 8 watch list. With next, it's a guy that has a tash that'll literally scare everyone away, but maybe might not scare you away from getting him in FPL. It's Hector Bellerin. I think he actually has appeared on the watch list already this season. Lucky him, I guess. But for the second time in just 4 games, he's returned double-digit points. Well, hey, not something you see quite frequently as a defender, right? Where against Man United, he got an assist and a clean sheet to pick up all of the bonus points too. Even more than the goal scorer, wow. But what surprises me with Bellerin here is, he's actually only selected by 6% of players, and is actually only 5 million quid. Oh, now, yeah, okay, he is an Arsenal defender, and sometimes he loves just doing a marathon up and down the pitch without actually getting involved in the action. But the way Arsenal play means he's basically a winger, as a very attacking wing back. Pretty much every game gets a good chance of getting something. So he's a wing back, playing for a team that will potentially keep a decent amount of clean sheets, who are also a top 6 team, if that means anything in FPL, but also can keep a clean sheet against any team as well. With a player that just is very attacking, has played every single game for them so far, and even every single minute of the season. Now, for his price, you probably shouldn't expect something every week, right? But I think he is probably one of the best value players in the entire game, actually. Like, what? Why are we snapping him up? And Arsenal do have quite a healthy run of fixtures upcoming too, so he's just quite a good player apparently, making him our 3rd player to watch here. With next, it's a player you might not even know that has existed this season. Yet, he's actually within the top 5 highest scoring defenders out of anyone. It's Yannick Vestergaard. And yes, I know, a Southampton defender. And especially Southampton, who don't have the most approachable fixtures going on right now. But Vestergaard here has actually been one of the most consistent players of the entire season. And you probably have not heard a single thing said about him, right? Even though he hasn't blanked at all in his last 5 games, which have actually been the only games he's started and finished because he was injured basically in the first 2, with him getting 6 points on 2 occasions and 7 points on the other 3 occasions in his last 5. 33 points in that short amount of time. And you've never heard of the geezer. And yeah, I do think this one is more of a talking point rather than picking this player himself here. As again, even at 4.6 million, you might not want a Southampton defender, but sometimes the players that don't score massive points, but slowly trickle along all the points and just quite consistent, are actually some of the best differentials in the game, as they can just go more under the radar. Where if you have a player, any player, let's say Akin Fenwa joins Man United in January, yeah? And then he gets nothing for 10 games, hardly anybody has him, and his ownership is like 5%, okay? If he goes and scores like 20 points in one game, then that ownership is gonna shoot straight up, right? Yeah. Like, even if he goes on blanks for the rest of the season, a lot of people will still have him, right? Yeah. But instead of that, if he slowly got like 5 points here, 6 points there for a lot more consistent of a time, he will probably continue to go under the radar and literally in no one's considerations. Now, yeah, obviously this probably is a harder thing to predict, and I very much doubt you'll be able to successfully guess when a player is going to go on a run like this. But it's just a reminder that sometimes, just because a player doesn't score a massive amount of points, it doesn't mean they're a bad player to have. As sometimes the more consistent point draggers can actually be that little thing to just push you up a little bit more every week and just making them a pretty damn good option. So sometimes it is a good idea to look out for those kind of players and not just get the very, very obvious picks. As you know, sometimes one massive game week score can actually completely throw you off and be the very discombobulating factor to make you make a poor decision. Like, you might pick one player over another because in 1 week they got really lucky and scored all of the points, where in actual fact the other player is just probably going to score more later on, you know? Which is why we just need to watch out, lads, at just all the players in general. Maybe not Vestergaard, but easier as a perfect example to bring up this point. Thank you, lad. You're doing good work. With next, it's the most prolific goal-scoring defender this league has ever seen. It's Kurt Zuma. He's played 6 games in the league so far and got 3 goals. What? Scenes when he somehow managed to keep this up and gets close to like 20 goals this season at his current rate. Like, what? I don't think many people would be complaining with that one. But the Chelsea defence is, how do I say this? Good. How's that happened? But yeah, it does actually turn out, if you can have a goalkeeper that has hands and can actually use them to make saves, and their name's not Kepa, you can do quite well. Where in their first 7 games altogether, Chelsea have kept 3 clean sheets so far, which is actually second in the league, only behind Wolves as well. So with that, and the likelihood that they'll just keep that one going, it's probably not the worst of decisions right now to get a Chelsea defender in. Yeah, imagine saying that at the end of the season, that this early on, we all want a Chelsea defender. Huh? We're in defence, they also have some pretty damn sexy options going around as well, with Reece James rocketing himself a good few amount of points at the start of the season, making loads of people get him in. Benjamin Chilwell, who's been very high up on everyone's list right now as well. Or maybe you just want a slightly cheaper option, and potentially the most nailed option in Kurt Zuma. Well, like I said, 3 goals so far from him, and he also just loves getting onto all of the bonus point action as well, getting 5 bonus points in his last 2 games. So maybe if you want to save some funds, maybe if you just want the most prolific goal-scoring defender we've ever seen and ever will see again, Zuma could be a guy, making him a player to watch this week. With next, our final player to suggest, to stare at for the week, is João Cancelo. Now this one right here may look like a bit of a scary and one you really don't want to touch, ever. As it's a rotation risk Man City defender. Put those ingredients together, and it doesn't usually taste too good. But actually, he's played 3 games in the league so far, after he got COVID himself, but apparently is pretty good now. And in those 3 games, he's averaged 7 points a game, getting 21 in total, also including 5 bonus points. Where in those 3 games, he's had 2 clean sheets and got 1 assist too. Pretty impressive so far. But something you might have missed, or just haven't been informed of yet, don't worry, Bacon Boy's got you, is that in his last game, he created 4 chances. The same amount as Kevin De Bruyne, but he's kind of like under half of his price. That's not bad, eh? But also, maybe even making him even more tempting, he's also a defender. And even though we don't really consider Man City to be like a defensive team, they have actually had one of the most consistent defences in the league for the last few years. But no matter the personnel they do be choosing, they usually keep quite a lot of clean sheets, which I think will only just get better when their new players are just all gelled in and play the best they ever can. So a very, very, very attacking defender, putting in performances so good that not even Pep Guardiola wants to rotate him. A big statement, right? He could actually be an absolute bargain and is actually only owned by 1.2% of players right now. Damn son. Now, a player like Cancelo, a potential rotation risk defender for Man City, could actually make him a better option than other rotation risk defenders, as Man City have such a girthy squad that if he doesn't start, there's every chance that he doesn't get a single minute, which is actually what you want from a defender that doesn't start, so he doesn't just come on just for the 1 point. And then you can just get your auto sub instead, getting all the points anyway. Perfect stuff. So if you want him, you might want to have a backup geezer on your bench to cover if he doesn't start. But with how well he's been banging on, I don't think he won't start too many games from now on, making him our final player to watch on the Gameweek 8 watch list. And that is it. I've kind of accidentally suggested 5 defenders this week. How did that happen? But I think this just goes to show you that there are actually some pretty damn good value picks there. And sometimes the defenders don't stick out as much as attackers because, you know, they might not get as massive amount of points. But then later on you realise, oh wait, they've been quite consistent and you might want to get them in right now. And maybe one of them, maybe one of the guys I've shown here could be your next transfer. Ooh. But, lads, every single one of you sexy beings out there, I really want to thank you so much for 10,000 subscribers. How's that happened? What? But I just want to say I appreciate every single one of you and just thank you all so much. The grind never stops, yes. Thanks for watching, and remember...
Don't be a cheeky scrub. Subscribe to Nathan Bacon right now.